On my last day, Susanne and I brought in a cake, as it is German custom. I greatly thank Dr. Tashimotop, the surgeon who made it possible for me to spend this month here in Leh. This was a real eye-opener what is possible in a district hospital in India. What are the reasons for the medical situation to be so much better than I had seen 5 years back in Darjeeling? On this large sign in the entrance of the hospital, under the third point, I think we see an important reason. It says, "The practice of distributing gifts, cash amongst the hospital staffs on the birth of a male child, recovery from serious illness or for jumping the queue by the patient's attendants is not permissible. And bakshish or bribery really does not seem to be acceptable in this area." Another reason is that Ladakh is an autonomous hill state and seeks a certain independence from the central government in Delhi. Further, proudness and honesty are a driving force. Nearly all doctors are Ladakhi and Buddhists and feel inclined to help their peoples. We have long left Leh on a strenuous journey and have reached the northern plains of India. We have reached Dehradun. This is an example of many how Indians materialize their charitable aid. The father of Mr. Sudrapur Singh started a college for paramedical disciplines, e.g. for laboratory and radiological staff. By constantly reinvesting the study fees, this college has now grown up to a size of 1,200 students. The charitable principle is that half of the students, the more wealthy ones, carry the studying fees of the less privileged but gifted students. The owner, Sudrapur Singh, told us of plans of building up a charitable hospital with 250 beds in the center of Dehradun. He has already bought a piece of land for this project. At the moment, building plans are being drawn by the same architect who built and designed the Apollo hospitals. This is the largest private hospital chain in Asia. Initially, it is first planned to build an outpatients department with 30 beds. The building should be completed by the end of 2006, beginning of 2007. Mr. Singh believes that doctors out of Dehradun are willing to work for weeks until years without being paid, but supplying them with accommodation, because they feel dedicated to their people and committed to helping the community. He also can well imagine foreign doctors wanting to work here. Again, we have travelled a great distance and reached the northeast part of India. We are in Belatner, the district of Giridih, in the state of Jharkhand. This hospital impressed us most during our journey. It is part of the mission of the Holy Cross Sisters, Indian Christian nuns. The mission is in Jharkhand, a district in central India that, if you would look at it on its own, would come among the 10 poorest countries of the world. Jharkhand is shaken by poverty, outlawlessness and crime. The hospital has got 70 beds and a respective busy outpatients department. In the surrounding 80 kilometers there is no further hospital and only very few doctors, so it is practically the only reachable hospital for local people. Dr. Sister Victoria, nun and medical doctor, has to practically be able to deal with anything. Her main field of activity is gynecology and maternity, but she too treats a lot of malaria, tuberculosis and lepra. The patients are extremely poor and have to come to the hospital by bicycle if they have one, or if they are very lucky they might have access to a tractor. Impressive was, for one thing, the cleanliness, but also the incredible dedication and love for each single patient, and that in a real dangerous and hostile part of India. And we have moved on again. Already back in Germany, before our journey, Shantiniketan seemed to be a place where we could maybe settle down on a long term and actualize this vision which let me set out on this journey. Shantiniketan is famous for its university, which was founded by the Indian
Nobel Prize winner for literature, Rabindranath Tagore. We were welcomed with open arms and met many interesting people in a very short time. Doctors, social workers, engineers, students and artists. This place seems to have something magical about itself. Actually, it is only a big village with rural charm, peasants, goats and chickens, in a very harmonic contrast to the scientific and intellectual thriving of the university. We had hardly arrived here and already found ourselves actively taking part in the primary medical care of a village. This health camp was organized and financed through an Hindu NGO. The doctors came from the nearby district hospital in Siang. This health camp had a catchment area of 10 villages with roughly 6,000 inhabitants, whereof roughly 400 patients presented themselves by one of us 4 doctors. We saw plenty of patients with diarrhea, malnutrition, and many worm infections by children, otitis, cold symptoms, urinary tract infections, and arthritis by elder women, and again unspecific pain symptoms. We had a limited selection of medication in the camp which was given out on the prescription directly to the patient. Some patients were referred to the hospital for further investigation. What brought us to here was Dr. Monika Golombiewski, a German pediatrician, who has initiated the primary health care in a Santal village. Santals are an indigenous tribal people who lived in India a long time before the Aryan tribes migrated from the north. Monika Golombiewski has been visiting this village for the last 15 years for a couple of weeks every year. She tries to develop a basic understanding for hygiene, illness, the need for treatment, but also for the right for treatment. Further, Dr. Golombiewski has educated a primary healthcare worker, Lina, who lives in the village. She looks after the patients during the rest of the year. Primary healthcare has a key position in providing medical care, especially in rural India. Most patients don't even have the most general medical knowledge. For example, that iodine can prevent a wound from festering and further complications. Medical knowledge is often not passed on from mother to daughter, from generation to generation. Patients also need someone who takes care of their needs after they have been dismissed from hospital. Somebody who makes sure that an antibiotic is taken for the prescribed time, or who organizes a transport possibility into the clinic before the patient is too sick. Essential is to create basic knowledge. Knowledge means to understand and to be able to take the consequences. For example, to eat out of the same bowl as the animals, or to drink water which has been contaminated with feces, often leads to illness. Here we see children taking their lunch in kindergarten, which has been financed by a further NGO. The kids take their dishes to the next pond where people and animals have bathed, where clothes have been washed, and who knows what else. And this despite a close-by water pump with safe drinking water. I will come back on these water pumps at a later time. And now let's have a look at the district hospital in Bolpur, right near to Shantiniketan. Here we see many patients waiting to be seen in the outpatients department. Keeping in mind 1 billion Indian inhabitants, I consider the Indian governmental healthcare system to be quite good. Generally, there is a hospital in each larger town which can take care of general illnesses, supported by smaller primary healthcare centers in the rural areas, and medical colleges with hospitals in the state capitals.